Sarah Martinez had always dreamed of serving her country, but she never imagined that dream would begin in a small town in Texas where opportunities seemed as scarce as rain in the desert. Growing up in she watched her father work double shifts at the factory while her mother cleaned houses to make ends meet. Their small apartment was filled with love, but money was always tight. At 17, Sarah stood barely 5 feet 4 inches tall, but what she lacked in height, she made up for in determination. Her high school guidance counselor, Mrs., noticed something special about the quiet girl who always sat in the front row of every class. Sarah never missed a day of school, even when her family's old car broke down and she had to walk 3 miles each way. "Have you ever thought about the military?" Mrs. asked one afternoon as Sarah stayed after school to help organize the library. Sarah's eyes lit up at the suggestion. She had seen Marine recruiters at the local mall and always felt a surge of respect watching them in their crisp uniforms. That evening, Sarah approached her parents with trembling hands and a printed application. Her father looked up from his newspaper with tired eyes. He had served briefly in the Army years ago but was injured in training and discharged. The memory still stung. "The military is not an easy life," he said softly, but Sarah could see the pride beginning to form in his expression. Her mother worried about sending her only daughter into danger, but she also knew that Sarah had a fire inside her that needed direction. After weeks of preparation, Sarah walked into the Marine Corps recruiting station on a Tuesday morning in March. Staff Sergeant Johnson, a tall man with kind eyes and a firm handshake, spent 2 hours explaining what military life would entail. Sarah listened intently, asking questions about everything from basic training to career opportunities. The physical fitness test came first. Sarah had been running every morning for months, using the school track before dawn. She completed the required pull-ups, sit-ups, and 3-mile run with determination that impressed the recruiters. Her scores were solid, not exceptional, but her attitude was unmistakable. Boot camp at Island was the most challenging experience of Sarah's young life. The South Carolina heat was oppressive, and the drill instructors seemed determined to break every recruit's spirit before building it back up. Sarah struggled with some of the physical demands initially, but she refused to quit. Her bunkmate, Jessica, became her closest friend during those grueling weeks. Jessica came from a military family and had grown up knowing she would enlist. She helped Sarah with the technical aspects of weapons training, while Sarah helped Jessica with the academic portions of their studies. "You've got something special, Martinez," drill instructor Williams told her during the 6th week of training. "You don't give up and you look out for others. That's what we need in the Corps." Sarah graduated boot camp with honors, earning the respect of her instructors and fellow Marines. Her parents traveled from Texas to witness the ceremony, tears streaming down their faces as they watched their daughter transform into a United States Marine. Her first assignment was to camp in California, where she would train as a military police officer. The role suited her personality perfectly. Sarah had always been someone others turned to for help, and now she would have the authority and training to protect and serve her fellow service members. During MP training, Sarah excelled in crisis management and conflict resolution. Her instructors noted her calm demeanor under pressure and her ability to de-escalate tense situations. She learned to drive military vehicles, handle firearms with precision, and most importantly, how to read people and situations quickly. Life at camp introduced Sarah to the broader Marine community. She volunteered for extra duties, helped younger Marines adjust to military life, and earned a reputation as someone who could be trusted. Her supervisors began giving her additional responsibilities, recognizing her leadership potential. Sarah's dedication didn't go unnoticed by her commanding officers. Within her first year, she was recommended for advanced training and leadership courses. She studied military law, advanced security procedures, and emergency response protocols with the same intensity she had once applied to her high school studies. The young woman who had once worried about her family's financial struggles now sent money home each month while building a career she was proud of. Sarah had found her calling in the Marine Corps, but she had no idea that her greatest test was still ahead. Her commitment to excellence and her genuine care for others had made her a respected member of her unit. Fellow Marines knew they could count on Sarah Martinez, whether for professional support or personal guidance. She had become the kind of Marine that others looked up to, embodying the values of honor, courage, and commitment that defined the Corps. As Sarah prepared for her next assignment, she reflected on how far she had come from that small apartment in L. The scared 17-year-old who had walked into the recruiting station had grown into a confident, capable Marine ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The morning of September 15th started like any other day at Marine Corps Base. Sarah Martinez, now a sergeant after 3 years of dedicated service, woke up at 500 hours as she had every day for the past year. Her assignment to the prestigious base had come with increased responsibilities and the opportunity to work with some of the Marine Corps' finest personnel. Sarah's current role involved overseeing security operations for high-level training exercises and official ceremonies. The base regularly hosted important military and civilian dignitaries, and Sarah had proven herself capable of managing complex security arrangements while maintaining the professional standards expected at such events. That particular morning, the base was preparing for a major ceremony honoring fallen Marines from recent deployments. Family members would be attending, along with senior military officials and government representatives. Sarah had spent weeks coordinating with various departments to ensure every detail was perfect. As she conducted her morning inspection of the security checkpoints, Sarah noticed something unusual. A vendor's vehicle was parked in an unauthorized area near the main ceremony venue. The driver appeared nervous when she approached, fumbling with paperwork and avoiding eye contact. "Sir, I need to see your authorization documents," Sarah said firmly but politely. Something about the situation felt off, and her training had taught her to trust her instincts. The man handed over documents that looked legitimate at first glance, but Sarah noticed inconsistencies in the dates and signatures. Her experience in military police work had taught her to spot forgeries and fraudulent credentials. She radioed for backup while keeping the situation calm. Within minutes, other Marines arrived to assist with what initially seemed like a routine security violation. However, as they began searching the vehicle more thoroughly, they discovered materials that shouldn't have been in a catering truck. The situation escalated quickly as the bomb disposal unit was called in. Sarah coordinated the immediate evacuation of the surrounding area while maintaining communication with base command. Her calm professionalism under pressure helped prevent panic among the hundreds of people in the vicinity. She directed civilians to safe zones while ensuring that all security protocols were followed. The ceremony venue was evacuated smoothly thanks to Sarah's quick thinking and the emergency procedures she had helped develop. As the bomb disposal experts worked, Sarah remained at her post, coordinating with various units and ensuring that the evacuation remained orderly. Hours passed as specialists examined the suspicious materials. The ceremony had to be postponed, disappointing many families who had traveled great distances to honor their loved ones. Sarah felt the weight of responsibility, knowing that her actions had disrupted an important day for these grieving families. As the investigation continued, it became clear that Sarah's vigilance had potentially prevented a serious incident. The materials found in the vehicle, while not explosives, were components that could have been used to create a dangerous situation. The suspect was taken into custody for further questioning. The stress of the morning's events, combined with the physical and emotional demands of coordinating a major evacuation, began to take its toll on Sarah. She had been on her feet for over 12 hours, having started her day early to oversee final preparations for the ceremony. As the all-clear was finally given and the area was declared safe, Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her. The families would be able to honor their fallen heroes, and the ceremony could proceed the following day. She had done her job, protecting others and maintaining the security of the base. But as Sarah walked back toward the main building to file her incident report, she began to feel lightheaded. The adrenaline that had carried her through the crisis was wearing off, and the physical strain of the day was catching up with her. She tried to continue walking, determined to complete her duties and ensure that all paperwork was properly filed. Sarah had always prided herself on finishing every task, no matter how tired or stressed she felt. The Marine Corps had taught her to push through difficulties and complete her mission. However, her body had reached its limit. The combination of stress, physical exertion, and the emotional weight of potentially saving lives had drained her reserves completely. As she approached the building entrance, Sarah's vision began to blur, and her legs started to feel weak. The last thing Sarah remembered clearly was reaching for the door handle. knowing she needed to get inside and complete her report. The faces of the families she had helped protect flashed through her mind, along with thoughts of her own parents back in Texas who were so proud of their daughter's service. Sarah collapsed just steps away from completing what had been one of the most important days of her military career. The same determination that had made her an exemplary Marine had also prevented her from recognizing her body's desperate need for rest and recovery. Fellow Marines who witnessed her collapse immediately called for medical assistance. As Sarah lost consciousness, she had no way of knowing that her actions that day would lead to something far more significant than a commendation or medal. The respect she had earned through years of dedicated service was about to be demonstrated in a way that would touch the hearts of people around the world. When Sarah Martinez opened her eyes, she found herself in the base medical facility with worried faces surrounding her. The base doctor, commander, explained that she had suffered from severe exhaustion and dehydration. Her body had simply shut down after the intense stress of the security incident. "Sergeant Martinez, you've been unconscious for 6 hours," the doctor said gently. "Your body needed rest, and frankly, you're lucky you didn't suffer something more serious." Sarah tried to sit up, immediately asking about her duties and whether the ceremony arrangements were complete. Even in her weakened state, her first concern was for others and for completing her responsibilities. The nurse had to gently push her back down, explaining that everything was under control. Word of Sarah's collapse had spread quickly throughout the base. Her fellow Marines knew that she had worked tirelessly to ensure everyone's safety during the security crisis. They also knew that Sarah was the kind of person who would push herself to the breaking point before admitting she needed help. Captain, Sarah's commanding officer, visited her in the medical facility that evening. He brought news that the investigation had confirmed Sarah's instincts were correct. The suspicious individual had been planning to disrupt the ceremony, and her quick action had prevented what could have been a dangerous situation. "Sergeant, your vigilance and professionalism today potentially saved lives," Captain told her. "The families attending tomorrow's ceremony will be safe because of your dedication to duty." As Sarah rested that night, she thought about the events of the day. She felt embarrassed about collapsing and worried that she had let her unit down. The idea that she might appear weak in front of her fellow Marines troubled her more than any physical discomfort. The next morning brought the rescheduled ceremony honoring fallen Marines. Sarah had been ordered to remain in the medical facility for observation, much to her disappointment. She wanted to be there, ensuring that security ran smoothly and that the families received the honor and respect they deserved. From her hospital bed, Sarah could hear the sounds of preparation echoing across the base. Marines were assembling, families were arriving, and the ceremony that had been postponed because of her discovery was finally taking place. She felt both proud of her actions and frustrated that she couldn't participate. What Sarah didn't know was that her story had reached every Marine on the base. Word had spread about the dedicated sergeant who had worked herself to exhaustion protecting others. Stories were shared about her years of service, her commitment to fellow Marines, and her willingness to put duty before personal comfort. Lieutenant Colonel Washington, the base commander, had heard about Sarah's condition and her disappointment at missing the ceremony. He made a decision that would surprise everyone, including Sarah herself. Instead of a traditional post-ceremony reception, he announced that the entire Marine contingent would make a special visit. As Sarah rested in the medical facility, she heard unusual sounds outside. Footsteps, lots of them moving in formation. She looked out the window and couldn't believe what she was seeing. Marines were assembling in the courtyard outside the medical building, forming precise ranks and files. A nurse came into Sarah's room with a wheelchair. "Sergeant Martinez, you have visitors," she said with a smile. "The doctor says you're stable enough for a short trip outside." Sarah was wheeled onto a small balcony overlooking the courtyard. Below her, nearly 500 Marines had assembled in perfect formation. They represented every unit stationed at, from new recruits to seasoned veterans. Officers and enlisted personnel stood together, united in their respect for one of their own. Lieutenant Colonel Washington stepped forward and called the formation to attention. The sound of 500 Marines moving as one was thunderous and precise. Sarah's hands trembled as she realized this display was for her. "Marines," the lieutenant colonel's voice carried clearly across the courtyard, "we are here to honor Sergeant Sarah Martinez, whose dedication to duty and protection of others exemplifies the finest traditions of our Corps. At his command, every Marine raised their right hand in salute. 500 arms moved as one, creating a sea of respect and admiration directed toward the balcony where Sarah sat in stunned silence. Tears streamed down her face as she witnessed this unprecedented display of honor. The salute seemed to last forever, though it was probably only a minute. For Sarah, time stopped completely. She thought about her journey from that small apartment in L to this moment of recognition from her peers. Every challenge she had faced, every moment of doubt, every sacrifice seemed worthwhile. When the salute ended, a cheer erupted from the assembled Marines. It wasn't a formal military response, but a genuine expression of affection and respect from 500 people who understood what Sarah represented. She embodied the values they all strived to live up to. Sarah struggled to stand from her wheelchair, wanting to return the salute properly. With help from the medical staff, she managed to get to her feet and render a crisp salute to her fellow Marines. The emotion of the moment was overwhelming for everyone present. News of the ceremony spread beyond the base when family members who had attended the memorial service witnessed the tribute to Sarah. Photos and videos were shared on social media, showing the world what military brotherhood and sisterhood really meant. Messages poured in from Marines stationed around the world, from military families, and from civilians who were touched by the story. Sarah had become a symbol of selfless service and the bonds that connect those who serve their country. Weeks later, as Sarah returned to full duty, she carried with her the memory of that extraordinary day. The support of her fellow Marines had given her strength and reminded her why she had chosen to serve. She understood that her actions had been recognized not just for preventing a potential incident, but for representing the best qualities of the Marine Corps. The young woman who had once worried about letting others down had instead become an inspiration. Sarah's story spread throughout the military community, encouraging other service members to trust their instincts and take care of one another. Sarah Martinez had collapsed in the line of duty, but she had risen to become a symbol of honor, courage, and commitment. The salute of 500 Marines had shown the world that true strength comes not from never falling down, but from the people who help you stand back up.